Hello and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about whether the real estate market in Dubai has finally turned and therefore the future prospects are much better now. Now, in my last video, I did talk about some good things happening. So the excellent vaccine rollout, Expo 2020 coming to Dubai after a year's delay because of the pandemic, improved relations with Qatar and Israel. And I touched briefly on residency for retirees, remote workers and citizenship to select group of foreigners, including doctors, solicitors, actors, engineers, etc. Now, since then, things have got even better. So the UAE has announced the granting of a 10-year golden visa to outstanding high school graduates. And it will now allow foreigners full ownership of a business in the UAE. Let's talk about prices as well. There's been an improvement here as well. So year to May, prices in Dubai fell by approximately 2.1%. Apartments fell by much more at nearly 4%, but villas did very well and rose by just over 10%. I also want to talk briefly about the low taxation, so no capital gains tax, very low buy-sell costs. And then also I want to talk about Property Finder, which has stated that we've had a lot of units sold in the months of April to June 2021. So in April, there were 4,800 units sold. In May, 4,400. And in June, 6,400, which is the highest for 8 years. However, I'm going to give you some reasons why I think the prospects long term are still not good in Dubai. And I don't think this is a good market to put your money in. Number one, Dubai has lagged behind the growth boom in other countries. So if you take, for example, the US, prices have gone up by 15% over the last year. And Europe, prices have also gone up by approximately 10% or so. If we take some good examples like Sweden and Germany, which are mature markets, you're looking at 11% and 9%. The UK over 10%, and some countries like Slovak Republic have gone up by 15%, and Montenegro even more. Now let's look at some other markets. Egypt went up by 22%, New Zealand by 22%, and Puerto Rico by 24%. So Dubai has well and truly lagged behind the world in the global boom in house prices. Number two, and I think this is the most important thing, I want to talk about the oversupply of apartments. Now, already we know there's a glut of apartments in Dubai where nobody's living in them because there's been an overbuilding of apartments. But according to government figures, there's more and more apartments are being built. So there are approximately, there's going to be 62,000 units in 2021 and 63,500 units in 2022. I was actually shocked by this figure simply because over the next 15 years, building at this rate, it will add an extra 950,000 units, which is on top of all the other units which are already empty. Now, I know there's going to be a population growth in Dubai. So we're talking figures at around 500,000. So, but even so, 500,000 is a lot less than the 950,000 units being built. And this assumes one person per household, which is not going to be the case. You're talking about approximately, let's say, 2 per household. This being the case, you've got an extra 250,000 households, but an extra 950,000 units. So we're talking an extra 700,000 units which are going to be vacant. This is bound to depress house prices. Number three, I want to talk about the yields. Now, gone are the days of high yields in Dubai where you could get double-digit figures. You're talking now around 5% on average gross yields. Although for smaller apartments, you can get higher yields. So strangely enough, the cost per square meter for smaller apartments is actually lower than larger apartments. And this is not typical in the world in general. But I want to say the days of high yields are over. Although if you do buy a small apartment downtown, you'll pay less per square meter, and you could potentially get a higher yield at 6.5% to 7%. But I think yields will fall. Number 4, which is not talked about enough, I don't think, is the total government debt to GDP, which is on the rise. So in 2014, it was 14%, very low. But by 2020, it had more than doubled to 37%. Now, I know a lot of this is due to the pandemic, but what is really worrying is that these figures do not include debt owned by government-related entities. So the debt is probably much, much higher. And indeed, Standard & Poor's did say, they actually forecast a year and a half ago, that the actual true debt levels were going to reach 77% by 2020. Now, I don't have an exact figure, but if this is true, we could be looking at around 75%, 80% total government debt to GDP, which implies it's getting nearer to Western European countries. So what's going to happen here is that taxes will go up. So Dubai will no longer be a tax heaven, and that's not good for the property market. Finally, number 5, I want to talk about the very high service charges, which is something which I've not touched on before. The reason why I want to talk about it is because where I recommended buying was actually downtown or the Dubai Marina, so as central as possible. But unfortunately, it's here where the service charges are at a very high level. So if we take downtown, let's take the lower level at Burj Vista and the higher level at Burj Khalifa. Now, at Burj Khalifa, you're talking approximately around $19 to $20 per square foot. And in Burj Vista, you're talking at around $5 per square foot annually. Now, if you buy 1,000 square foot apartment in Burj Khalifa, you're talking approximately $20,000 a year of service charge. That is absolutely phenomenal. And even at Burj Vista, you could be talking at least $5,000 per year service charge, which is still very high. Now, Dubai Marina is actually not too bad, $5 per square foot. So you still be talking at about $5,000 per year on average. It's still very high compared to Europe. So what's the conclusion? My conclusion is this: unless fewer apartments are built, and I do think they should actively discourage apartments from being built, and unless they expand, let's say, the citizenship program, and I think this could be the only saving grace of Dubai, where if they do make it much easier to become a citizen of Dubai, then you will have a lot more people going to Dubai, and they potentially could fill up all these vacant apartments. But if this doesn't happen, I think the market is going to remain pretty depressed, and I don't really think the long-term prospects for Dubai are very good. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to have some comments for you. Do you think I've been again too harsh on Dubai? Anyway, that's it for today. If you do like my video, please do click the like button. It does help this video get out to more people on YouTube. If you like my videos, please do subscribe, and I'll see you very soon on the next video. Thank you and goodbye for today.